Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is Behind the Steel Curtain editor Dave Schofield coming at you again. It's Tuesday night. It's 9 p.m. No, it's not.
No, it's not Tuesday night.
It's not 9 p.m. What's going on here? Why are these two extremely handsome fellows here on my screen today? Bottom line is, I hope people saw it on Twitter. We try to get the word out. We'll not jump into stuff right away in the first 30 seconds of the show. But we want to explain this. The Steelers play this week, Thursday night. We're days away, merely days away from our first action of the 2021 NFL season. We're going to get new data. We're going to find out some stuff about some of these players. The problem is when it comes to the podcast side of everything, we don't want to jip you guys out on any shows, and you're going to get a post-game show on Thursday. So it didn't do any good to do the preview after the game. You got a preview before the game, and that's normally what's on Thursday nights. Therefore, we're bumping everything up. We could have tried to bump everything one day, but it seemed like things weren't going to work out, and it just worked out for our schedule for this week. We could go ahead and bump one up to Sunday. We were both available to do it tonight. So Rich and I are tonight for the Scho Bro Show. Tomorrow night, you're going to have the hangover again with Brian, Tony, and Shannon. I assume that they're all three going to be there, but that's who's supposed to be there. Yep. Tuesday night, in place of the Scho Bro Show, you're going to have the Steelers preview with myself, Jeff Hartman, and Brian Anthony Davis. And then Wednesday's curtain call, which I don't think they're getting back to their in-season name yet of Know Your Enemy. I don't know when they're going to change the name exactly. That will still be on Wednesday. And then on Thursday night, you'll get a post-game show after the Hall of Fame game. And then we'll continue on with Tony on Friday, Touchdown Under on Saturday. Then next Sunday, I don't know if it'll be us again or what it's going to be, but you're going to be looking at the same type of schedule because the Steelers play the following Thursday. So you'll have one of the shows on Sunday and all four of them leading up to the game. So hopefully this didn't catch everybody off guard too much. We did not know about this last Tuesday, did we, Rich? Because I haven't had a chance yet. I'm waiting because some people were just getting the notifications on their phone. Or for those of you listening in podcast form, you're like, hey, it's here. I'm listening to it. That's fine. But for those that join us in the live chat on Facebook or YouTube, they've got to get the alert. And they might be like, wait, what's going on here? So I waited a couple minutes. So now I can say, with me as always is my big brother, Rich. Rich, how's it going?
Welcome to the Bro Show.
the Bro Show. Okay.
Yep. Hey, things are going okay. Doing well here. Super pumped after seeing some padded practices and ready for that Hall of Fame game to just roll around. Let's start getting guys back on the field, hitting each other.
Yeah, so I know exactly what you mean. Since the last time we had our show together last Tuesday, the Steelers hadn't been in pads yet. So they had pads Wednesday. They didn't have pads Thursday. They had pads Friday and Saturday and off today. Today was Sunday. For those of you here live, if you're listening to this on Monday, we're referring to Sunday. And they are back in action. We'll see if they're in pads or not on Monday because they're preparing for that game on Thursday. Yep. I'm really looking forward to this. And in case you're wondering, because we're talking about people getting their alerts, Kyle says, my alert is when I hear my dad talking from my room.
Yeah.
So we're ready to go. We went a little bit earlier tonight because it's a Sunday. We can get it done, and then we can get into our normal Sunday evening routines before our, the work week kicks off. I don't know how much, to me, I shouldn't be talking much about a work week myself. But that's for you. That's for you.
Yep.
But Rich, before we dive into what we're going to talk about, how are you feeling knowing that we are in the same calendar week as when the Steelers are going to be on the field again?
Oh, it's nice. We basically always look at from the draft until this time when they take the field on their first preseason game. That is like the worst time to be a football fan. So
yeah, you get a little bit. You get some OTAs. You get some training camp. Then you have like 5 or 6 weeks of nothing. But even that, I know it's just not the same.
no, not the same.
I mean, you mentioned the draft. Is it kind of that also that build up that you're wanting to see these new guys that they just drafted and sign as undrafted free agents and everything like that? Does that just kind of add more to the hype of this first game?
Of course. I mean, because really, this is going to be our first chance to answer, to start getting data, as you said, to look at all the, the off-season questions that have been raised.
Yeah.
So, you know,
get that data, see what guys can make this team. It's just, some people still were like, oh, just tell me when it counts, or, oh, tell me which preseason game, the starters are going to play and I'll tune in for 10 minutes. Not me, man. I want to see all these guys. I want to see all these guys. So, it's funny. Captain Underpants just put something in the live chat. I have to ask, Captain Underpants, is that where you're always from? I just got to double check because where he's from. Because right now he's not very far from me.
No,
that's the whole reason I'm asking. So,
he just says he's here. Yeah. He says
I didn't know if he was visiting somebody or if that's where he is permanently. Just thought I'd ask that. You got to let me know. Send me an email. Let me know that. So I'm excited about Thursday. Well, first of all, I'm glad it's a nationally televised game. You're going to get all the preseason games, aren't you?
Yes.
So I'm not getting all the preseason games. I've got to figure out what I'm going to do. We had a little BTSC summit of the senior editor and podcast producer today. And we were figuring out some stuff. We're like, man, what are we going to do to make sure that we can break down these preseason games? I got to figure out what I'm going to do to watch them all. I tried to renew my Game Pass, my free. Did you know season ticket holders get free NFL Game Pass for the Steelers?
No, I did not know
I
that.
just learned that, and I tried to use my code, and apparently it's been too long. I'm supposed to get a new one September 1st, and I guess after 11 months, I can't renew right now. So hopefully we'll eventually be able to, I got to find out a way in order to be able to watch the games whenever they go out. But this we don't have to worry
about. Where I'm lucky. Preseason, regular season doesn't matter.
You got it all. Yeah. So there we go. Let's break this down. You ready to do this topic?
I do, because I actually had fun with this topic.
Yeah, we
were wanting to go one of two ways, and I'm actually glad this is the way it went.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, it's funny. Of course, got to bring the international side into this. Mark Davison says Game Pass in Australia is $278. It probably is a lot
Dingo
more in
dollars?
Australia. Dingo dollars might be dingo
dollars. I would imagine he's talking dingo dollars.
That's the thing. The good thing about NFL Game Pass, that basically is Sunday Ticket International. International fans get regular season games. Us stuck here, I don't say stuck here, but us here in the US, we get preseason games and we get replays. That's about it. So he's saying that is the dingo dollar. So this is kind of a fun topic because a lot of people are going to be looking at, what are we looking for? What are we going to see in this Hall of Fame game? We decided we're going to take, we're a little bit different anyway. We're going to take
a little.
Yeah. We're going to take a different approach. And the question is, what are we not going to see? We're going to each bring up, hey, what do you know? We did a top 5. I will be honest with you.
What are we not going to see? See, because now maybe I misunderstood the topic, because not what I'm not going to see.
What are we not going to learn?
Yes, that's what
I didn't say that right. Okay, what are we not going to learn?
What are we not going to know after the game?
Yeah. So
good.
Making
sure I was on.
Making sure we were on the right thing. Yeah, I just didn't quite say that right. I don't have the title sitting here in front of me. So that's what we're looking at. So it's not like, this is what the game's going to tell you. We're like, this is what the game's not going to tell you. This is what we're going to look at it that way, because at the same time, you don't want to go into this with too much expectations. We can touch on some things later of what we're going to see. We're going to figure, that'll be brought up as we go along. But the thing is, what are we not going to know? What are we not going to learn from this game? So this is probably the last time we're doing a top 5 for a while, because next week we get back into the rhythm of things. You know what? We might have to do a top 5 in that time between the last preseason game and the first game. That
and there's a week off in there.
I
think it's 2.
There's 2 in there. So we'll be able to, what we might do is break it down a little bit, because normally what we like to do, this is our Tuesday show normally, and we're the transition show, because what happens the night before us, it's the hangover. You're talking about the game that just happened. What's the night after us? That's what is for the off season. For those of you that might be joining us that haven't been here during the regular season, during the off season, it's the curtain call. But during the regular season, it's Know Your Enemy, talking about the game that's coming up. Because we're the transition show, we get to basically go, we talk about last week, then we talk about next week. And that's what we're going to do. Now, for those 2 weeks in between, we'll have a game to talk about that will have just happened on the first one. And we'll have a game that we'll get to talk about coming up on the next one. But we'll also have some other stuff in there. But we've enjoyed doing these top 5 lists of just various things. So what we're doing tonight is the top 5 things you're not going to know after the Hall of Fame game, or the top 5 things you won't learn from the Hall of Fame game. However you want to, that's close enough to the same thing, right?
Sure it is.
All right. So got my list. You got your list?
I got my list.
Now, last week we coordinated some stuff. We were talking about who we were looking forward to seeing the most. And we made sure that we kind of drafted our players.
Because we wanted to cover as many players as possible.
Yes, we were covering as many players as possible. This week, we did not share. We just got, and we might overlap. So we're going to see how this goes. Now, if you say something and it's on my list, I'll go ahead and tell you what number it was on my list rather than hold it. But that's just kind of how we're going to do it. We're going to see how this breaks down. So, Rich, what's your number 5 of what we're not going to know after the Hall of Fame game?
We are not going to know after the Hall of Fame game if Dwayne Haskins will make the 53-man roster.
Okay, so you're saying it's funny, because at the same time we got Russ chiming into the live chat that says Haskins going to take number 2 spot.
Forget even number 2 spot. Forget that. We won't even know if he's going to make the team yet.
Yes, we're not going to know where he's going to fall based on this game. Okay, you can't. I did not have this one, so this is a good one. But you can't determine based on how many snaps and what order he comes into the game or anything from this what that means. What else do you want to say about it?
I expect him to get snaps. I actually expect Mason and Dobbs to both get snaps. Mm-hmm. My guess is we probably see Ben maybe a series.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I won't be surprised if we do, but if we see Ben, it will be 1 series at most.
I wouldn't be shocked if we only see Rudolph for 1 series.
You know what? That wouldn't surprise me either. It all depends on how much work or what they want to see in this, what the coaching staff wants to see in the game.
All right, because this was something that I talked about on the preview. Do you know? Now, of course, we know 2020, there was no preseason games. When was the last preseason where Ben Roethlisberger played more than 1 preseason game?
I don't know.
2015.
Okay.
It's been that long since Ben Roethlisberger's played. I think we'll see Ben Roethlisberger. It's so tough because
I think we'll see Ben Roethlisberger in at least 2 preseason games.
That might happen. That could maybe happen. I'm still banking on which game are they going to treat like what they used to treat the 3rd preseason game? Are they going to, because they have 4 this year, are they going to treat it like the 3rd one, which would be week 2, which would be the Lions game at Heinz Field on NFL Network? Or are they going to say, oh, well, we'll just do it against what would be week 3, which would be the Panthers, because we're going to have the same amount of time until the kickoff as it would have been if it was doing week 3 normal, because there's that basically an additional bye week in there. I don't know how they're going to play it, but I would be really shocked if we see Ben. Here's the deal with Haskins. This was a good one. I'm so glad you brought this up because I didn't even think about it.
Oh, that was
if
boom.
he comes out and throws 3 touchdowns, does that mean he's going to make the team?
I don't know.
If he comes out and throws 3 interceptions, does that mean that he can't fight his way all the way up to number 2?
I don't
think so either.
Right.
I don't think, if he comes out and does great, I don't think you also got to say, all right, well, who was he playing against and everything else? How much were their starters playing? That's one. And 2, if he comes out and doesn't play great, he's going to have more opportunities to show it throughout the preseason.
Correct.
That was a really
good this is more. I think for him, this game's more about getting him on the field for some live reps.
Yeah. Yes, I think
you're right. A while.
Yeah,
because it's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah, because that's kind of a big deal because Haskins has always been known as, I'd say always. I mean, it's not like he's been in the league that long, but in his time in Washington, he was known as a player that could get it done, 7-on-7, football in shorts, things like that. He's always going to look good throwing the ball in that realm. The question is, can he dissect the defense and make the right decision? Right. So, and it's not like he's going to have the most complex defenses thrown at him in the Hall of Fame game, but you're still going to be able to see a little bit. So that's a good one. We talked about that one a little bit because it was good. Okay. Here's mine. You know what we're not going to know? Now there's a chance this could be, there's a chance we could get a really good indication of this, but I really doubt it. But you know what we're not going to know?
What's that?
We're not going to know who's the punter.
Oh, I almost put that one.
Yeah, that was my number 5.
I almost made that one my number 5, but I did not. So good one.
Yeah, we're not going to know who the punter is. I assume we'll see both of them.
Yeah,
in this
I would
game.
Imagine we do.
I would like to. Honestly, I hope we don't. I hope we only see them as a holder. I think we'll see both of them. If we don't see them both punting, we'll see them both holding. We'll see them one way or the other because, it's going. That's just how it's going to be. Anything you want to say about that?
Nope. Other than that was another good one because I thought about putting it, but I thought the one with Haskins might draw some more discussion.
Exactly. But that one I just thought was kind of fun. I know Jefferson Hartman would appreciate that. We're not going to know who the punter is. I mean, even if you've got, big press out there, booming 75-yard punch, you're going to be like, yeah, I think this is going to be the guy. It's not like they're going to turn around and make a cut the next week. Although they do. No, wait, not after the Hall of Fame game. After their first week of preseason, they have to make 5 cuts.
Yes.
So all these guys, unless something happens where the Steelers don't want them anymore and want to bring in an extra player, every single player is going to be able to get 2 preseason games, which is nice. So you ready to roll on? That one wasn't one we had to talk about for forever.
No, we did not. Okay. I will roll on to my number 4.
Okay.
But first I have to say something.
Yeah.
Russ, you're killing me out there. So my number 4 of something that we will not know at the end of this game is Zach Banner or Devin Bush back at 100% health.
That's a good one. The guys with the big injuries. Yep.
We will not have a good idea where they stand.
Yeah,
if at all. Because I also wouldn't be surprised if we saw neither of those guys in this game.
I don't think we'll see Banner because he hasn't really practiced much. Devin Bush is a possibility that I think he could maybe be ready, but I don't know if they'll play him for that reason. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what their status will be. I mean, we're talking about this on Sunday. Who knows? Maybe Coach Tom will start giving some indication on these guys. I doubt it because he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to say anything about who's playing and who's not for a long time. So that's a really good point that we're not going to see. We probably know more about Devin Bush's status now just from practices than we would from anything that we could possibly see Thursday, just because I don't know if there'll be any sample size or if there is, that there'll be very much.
Right.
So, so those guys, are they okay? That's a good one. I have one that's not exactly the same as that, so I'm not going to.
Okay.
I'm going to hold it. I'll hold it. So, But I'll go ahead and give you my number 4. And this is why. And I kind of talked a little bit of that. Okay. Number 4. Can Big Ben throw the deep ball?
Oh, good one. I don't have that one. Hey, we're doing
after the Hall of Fame game.
No. Because again, we're probably not even. We're likely to not see Ben.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to know that for kickoff for week 1.
Right.
Even in his time in the preseason, I don't know that you're going to see, anything crazy like that, because they're not going to want to show too much either.
I mean, they might throw some deep balls, but not enough.
Nothing fancy.
Nothing that you're going to know that you're going to be like, oh, it's there, or oh, he doesn't have it.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You're not going to, because so many people, and that's why I throwing the deep ball, because the narrative behind Ben is by so much that the national media is that he's done. He should have just retired. What's he doing coming back? He's holding back the back. I mean, you also have to remember his salary cap number versus what it was going to be in dead money anyway is not really that much for this year above what he was going to be anyway. And he's still playing. And the thing is remember, it's not like he didn't throw for 500 yards in their last game.
Right.
Because he did, so you're like, it's not that he can't go out there and do it. But I understand why people still have questions, but you're not going to know if he's going to be the guy that can go out there and just fling it. So, let's go ahead and do one more each here before we do our break here and head into part 2. So, so Rich, what's your number 3?
All right. At the conclusion of the Hall of Fame game, we will not know if it's going to be Sutton or Pierre.
All right, that's a good one. I thought of that one. We don't know if it's going to be, or who else. So in other words, you're saying outside corner.
Correct. We are not going to have an answer to who's going to start opposite of Joe Hayden.
Yeah, that's a good one. Because honestly, I would not be shocked if both of those guys are starting in the Hall of Fame game.
Yes.
That if Joe Hayden doesn't play and they play both of them, one on each side, and I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if it'll be every series or what, if they flip them then.
Yeah,
if they do it that way. Mm-hmm. Honestly, someone, not that I don't bring it up every 2 seconds, someone who used to coach, if you want to see these two guys in this setting and you want to get them both playing time, get them both out there together where you can see them both. And then seriously, the next series, flip them just to see if you can see the different looks of, maybe it might be prime example, just like with the tackles, when Kevin Colbert talked about how if the opening at last year would have been at left tackle, he thinks Chooks would have beat out Banner for that spot based on the side that it was. And it could be that your better corner might not be the best corner for that side. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. Right. But I'm just saying, why not get them both out there, get them tons of time, and then see how it all plays out. That's a good one. So, but do you think both of those players will play in the Hall of Fame game?
Oh yeah,
I do too. I think they'll both
because they need to, because they are still part of the question mark.
Yeah, exactly. So. Exactly. So, all right. Well, I guess I should probably go ahead and do my number 3 then, right?
Okay. Sure thing.
My number 3 is on the same side of the ball as what you just did.
Okay.
But what we're definitely not going to know, we're not going to know exactly how they're going to do the outside linebacker rotation.
Correct. Totally correct.
Between your big 3, and I'm going to call them the big 3. I'm going to, Watt, Highsmith, and Ingram. You are not going to know exactly how that's all going to play out. Like, you're not going to know, okay, are they going to – I have a feeling TJ Watt's going to stay on the left side of the defense at all times. The question is, who's going to start off on the right? Who's going to come in? And who's going to play left when TJ's out? And how much is each player going to get? We're not going to know that because, first of all, we're not going to see TJ Watt.
Right.
I mean, we haven't even seen him in practice yet. So let's talk about that for a second, if you don't mind.
Sure.
TJ Watt not practicing. Any thoughts on that?
Nope.
Do you think he's injured?
No.
I don't think so either.
Not injured. This is, you know what part of it I wonder is?
What's that?
Are we still in the contract negotiations?
That's something that has been brought up before. Is this something that they're like, well, let's not do too much with the, and see what's going on there.
But let's see if we can get the numbers worked out and get that long-term deal signed.
I've said it before. When most of these deals happen is honestly the first couple of days of September, leading right up to the first game.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it's going to happen in the preseason, but I also think that the Steelers are like, we want to keep this investment okay. We don't need a lot of TJ Watt now. And they've already said about how they want to get the guys prepped for who's going to be playing in the Hall of Fame game. It's not like TJ Watt needs a lot of, it's not that he's not out there working out and everything on the sidelines. And it's not that he's not there to get the mental side of it. And it's not like he's not a guy that doesn't know what he's doing there. So I think we'll see him eventually. I think they're treating him like the Ben Roethlisberger of the defense,
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. So
I want to say lack of any type of real contacty reps in practice doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And and honestly, it's really going to help the Steelers figure out what else they have there. Jeff Hartman said to me today, he's like, hadn't really heard much about Quincy Roche until like the very end of the Steelers wrap-up show for Saturday's practice. They said about, Bob Labriola said something about he's having a really strong camp, especially for like a 6th-round draft pick rookie. So this will tell us a little bit more about these outside linebackers, but the other ones. But we're not going to know any of that because we don't even know what's going on throughout the whole preseason with one Trent Jordan Watt. But do you think they'll get Melvin Ingram some snaps in this game?
Yes.
Yeah. So
maybe not.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Creed just said, I just saw a video of him practicing. It's not that he's not out there, and it's not that he's not working out. He's not going through. He's not doing the full pads teamwork, full go stuff. And that's mainly like Zach Banner's out there working out too. He's doing a lot of stuff on the side. He's doing a lot of drills. There's some drills he might not be doing, but what we're really talking about, whether they're practicing or not, is when they're out there doing their 11 on 11. Like if they're out there doing the 2-minute drill or anything else, 2-minute defense versus 2-minute offense, things like that, you're not seeing TJ Watt out there for those things. Just you haven't seen Stephon Tuitt out there either.
Right.
So I hope that clarifies. So you're right, Cree. He has been at practice. He's been working hard. That's why we're not worried about it. But he's not really doing team stuff. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah. Back to what you had asked about Ingram. I expect to see Ingrams for probably a series or two.
Yeah, I think they'll try to get him some snaps just to just get him the whole notion of,
I'm a Steeler
now. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So I think
getting him some game snaps in the Steelers uniform in the Steelers system.
Exactly. How about Highsmith?
Again, maybe a series or two.
I think you'll see him the first half.
The entire first half, I was thinking maybe first quarter. Yeah, you might see him.
I'm just guessing. Right. Just only because he's a year 2 guy. He has 5 regular season and 1 playoff start under his belt. Just to kind of, get, and he didn't have any preseason games last year. We got to remember that with these rookies,
right?
That with the 2020 rookies, is that this is their first chance to do stuff in the preseason. So, but then I think afterwards, you're going to see a lot of Quincy Roche. I think you're going to see a lot of Cassius Marsh. I think you're going to, and then they have a couple other guys in the mix there that you'll see from them as well. So with that, that's our top 3. Let's go ahead. Take our little break here. If you're here on the audio side, make sure you just go ahead and click on over to part 2. If you're here on YouTube or Facebook, wait just a few seconds and we'll be right back with part 2. Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to a special Sunday night edition, Sunday of the Scho Bro Show. We are coming here to make sure we get all our shows in this week before Thursday night's game. And I'm here, as always, with my big brother, Rich. Rich, still doing good?
No, I'm terrible now. I've had to stare at your face for 30 minutes already. Yeah. So,
well, I didn't know. The problem is, it's too much of a mirror since we're wearing very similar shirts.
The hashtag Pay Kyle shirts.
Yeah, we are both wearing our hashtag Pay Kyle shirts. If you're listening to us in audio form. So just a little fun thing that we had made up. So we're talking about the things that we're not going to learn. Things that you're not going to know from after the Hall of Fame game. And so far, we haven't repeated. We've each done, the first 3 of our 5, meaning numbers 5, 4, and 3. Rich, you were...
I was, we won't know if Dwayne Haskins makes the 53-man roster.
Yep.
We won't know if Zach Banner or Devin Bush are totally back at 100%. Mm-hmm. And we will not know the answer of who's going to start at corner opposite Joe Hayden.
All right. Then I had 3 completely different things. I said, we're not going to know who's the punter. We're not going to know if Ben Roethlisberger can still throw the deep ball. And we're not going to know what the outside linebacker rotation is going to look like going into this season. These are all things we're not going to know. So if we think we're going to get any of these kind of questions answered, it's not happening. It's not. So
hey, just real quick one to say, thanks to Todd out there watching on Facebook. I'm glad that he's not going to be fined because he's here. He said he's here for the show so he doesn't get fined. So,
so he doesn't get fined.
Nice to know. Yep. So
gotta love it. So let's go ahead and get through this. Let's go ahead. So we'll talk about these things we're not going to see. Then we might talk about a couple of things we're looking forward to. But we've each got 2 left. Let's see where it all falls here. What's your number 2 thing of things that we won't learn from this Hall of Fame game?
We will not learn if sorry, hold on. I gotta not laugh for a second. I gotta make sure I say it correct.
All right, let's say it right. Here we go.
We will not know if Quadric Green will be the week 1 starter.
Yeah,
so I had to make sure I got the new nickname correct. That we
had to get Quadric Green in there correct. Yeah, that was.
Thank you, Kyle.
That was good stuff. Yeah. Well, wonderful things, Eric. Yeah, that was from Tuesday's show. Yeah, where I kept trying to figure out a way to describe it, and you were right. The John Stockton shorts, and man, just seeing those legs. And my buddy Chris, who was in the live chat last Tuesday, he sent me a picture and said, and it was him actually holding on to the football. He's like, is Quadric Green a center or is he a fullback? Just the way he was looking with that. But we're not going to know that, and that's similar to mine. It's only it's not it's the same subject matter, but not the same question. So maybe I'll read mine and we'll kind of answer them both together.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not going to know if the Steelers' offensive line has come together as a cohesive unit.
No, that is not the same thing. Not even close.
Yeah, I said it was about the same position is what I said. Okay. It's about the same position because it's still dealing with the offensive line. So you're exactly right. We're not going to know about Quadric Green. So you got me. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, and it's really just because do I expect him to play a lot? Yes. Do I expect this? Hopefully he plays a good bit and plays very well. But the coaches aren't going to be ready to make that decision yet. Not even close. Am I rooting for the guy? Heck yeah, I'm rooting for the guy. I want to see him go in there and totally dominate.
Yeah.
But we won't be able to say he's going to be the week 1 starter.
Okay.
We're going to have a better idea. We're going to have a better idea if he has a chance.
Yeah.
We might suddenly say, hey, he has a very realistic chance. We might be able to say, but we're not going to be able to say he's going to be the week 1 starter.
Yeah. Here's my question. And it's a 2-parter. I'll give you the first part. And you'll probably know what the second part's going to be. What is it going to tell us if Kendrick Green comes out and plays great in the Hall of Fame game?
The one thing I think that's going to tell us is, or the one thing that I would take from that is that the Steelers made the wise choice. I will be much happier with their choice of going Harris, Freiermuth, and waiting till the third round to get someone to play center.
Yeah.
It will
not just someone. The guy they really wanted all along.
The guy they wanted all along. If he comes out and plays well, then it's going to be like, okay, that worked the way, that draft then looks more like it has the potential to work the way the Steelers wanted it to.
Yeah. I'm going to say that if he comes out and plays great, the biggest question we're going to have to say is, well, who was really playing for the Cowboys? It was just the Hall of Fame game. What's really, can you really learn that much from this? Let's get him out there with starters and against starters and, snapping to Ben Roethlisberger and everything in order to see how he really looks. Okay. Because my follow-up question is, what does it tell us if he doesn't play well?
Well, there's different ways you look at that. The same argument you were just making there. Oh, we don't know. You could be like, well, he was playing with a bunch of nobodies, and it was, what was, hadn't been lining up with those guys much, and you could tell there were communication issues, and people were making the wrong blocks.
Exactly. So I'm going to tell you this right now, because I have a feeling next week this is something we're going to be saying. You can spin the results, individual results and everything, even team results of the preseason game any way you want. Yep. If you think a player's going to be bad and they play well, you can say, oh, that's because they blah, 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 blah. If they don't play well, see, I told you. If you think a player's going to play well and they don't, you could be like, well, it's the first game and it's this, and they weren't playing with other players here, there. But if you think, you know what I'm saying? You can come up, you can justify what you already believe going into the game, regardless of what happens. And the biggest position that you're going to do that with is quarterback, in my opinion. If you think Mason Rudolph is terrible, no matter what he does in this game, you're going to make an excuse of why he's really not all that good. If you think Mason Rudolph is terrible when he plays terrible, you're just going to say, see, I told you. But yet if you would play really good, you would have a reason why it didn't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny. You're not okay. And this is something I should have done. This is my number one. And this is going to be set up now. You're not going to silence any critics, and you're not going to persuade any super optimistic people. That's not going to happen in this game. You're going to have reasons for why what you think beforehand really was. But then, if you go into the game not really expecting anything either way, you'll probably learn the most of what you can.
Yeah, good point.
I didn't take your number one, did I? Yeah. Okay, good. With the way I just said that, because I'm like, man, I should have put that as number one. Or not, you're not going to silence any critics. Let's go to what I was saying. We talked about specifically quadrant green. Now let's look at the offensive line, because to me, it's not even just about who the individuals are going to be. It's going to be how well do they play together.
Can I interrupt a moment?
Go ahead.
My number one is we will not know if the offensive line is fixed.
Okay, there you go. So we can talk about these together.
So let's talk about your number two with my number one.
Exactly. We won't know if it's fixed. I mean, the guys that were projected to be the starters have not taken one snap together in practice. Meaning in 11 on 11 in what they're doing against the defense.
Now, on the flip side of that, we could learn some things about individual linemen in this game.
Exactly. That was what I was going to bring up. My goodness.
Good call.
What do you know?
Well, we're related.
Yes.
You may find some good and bad things individually, but there's really not. It's not time yet to start rating them as an entire unit.
Yes. So I quote Jeffrey Benedict a lot because we communicate about these kind of things because of our Steelers Vertex article that we do together each week, which I was supposed to get. Jeffrey has some stuff going on. I don't know that we're going to have one this week, actually, believe it or not. But we're getting ready to we're excited to get back into breaking down games. But he likes to talk about offensive linemen on film playing better depending on who they're with. And I mean, for people that may have, I mean, you could have played, Division I wide receiver or defensive back or things like that. If you aren't paying attention to the offensive line, you might not realize that when they talk about zone blocking, what that means is that, I mean, I'm just going to say the most basic way that we would do zone blocking at the high school level, and even like the freshman level at high school, is that you would have two linemen working together blocking a group of two defenders. Now, is it always just as simple as this guy blocks him and that guy blocks him? No, you're blocking first level to second level is the way it would work. Now, depending on what they do on defense is going to determine who's blocking who. And so you have to know, like, if both guys, the way one of the lines that we used, and I put this in the Slack channel one time, and KT Smith, who, successful high school coach in New Jersey, championship winning coach. He said, I like the way you said that, is that when you put your hands on the tackle with your eyes on the linebacker. Hands on tackle, eyes on backer. That's what you're doing when you're blocking in these zone blocks, because you don't know which guy's going to have that linebacker. It depends on which way he goes. So it really matters who you're playing against. And Jeffrey talks about
beside, not against.
Yeah, not against.
Beside.
Thank you for correcting me, because I completely said that wrong. Who you're playing beside. And Jeffrey would constantly bring up, it is not easy to play next to Al Villanueva. He says he's a different style of player, and it's not the easiest task to play next to him. So, and he said that really the best combo that he saw this season, if I can quote him correctly, I think I remember he say this, might not be the best, but a really good combo, was Marquise Pouncey next to Kevin Dotson. That those two guys just kind of had it going. Yep. So the problem is we're not going to know who's going to get it going, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's why I phrased it in the way of, can they come together? And like you said, is it fixed? Which I think is a fantastic way to put both of them. You want to comment on my long soliloquy I just went off on?
No, that was great, because I was thinking the same thing, and I noticed this last year as well, too. I felt that Marquise Pouncey was playing his best football next to Kevin Dotson.
Yeah.
I really did.
Yeah.
So I agreed totally with Kevin on that one, because, and that's part of the reason I felt I wanted to see more Dotson, partly because he helped bring, Pouncey, who would tell you that he was not having, his best
career year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I bet you he would have told you that he liked playing next to Dotson.
Yeah.
So,
and honestly, I feel that I could sit and I could break down film for hours and hours and hours. Unfortunately, especially with trying to get content for the site, I don't have those hours and hours to do it. So I'll look at I love it when Jeffrey will occasionally just send out a clip. Sometimes he'll send something to just me. A lot of times he'll send it out on to several people and staff and say, what do you see? What's going on here? What's happening? I love just taking the one play and answering stuff. And the one I was like, okay, at first I thought this, but now that I look at it, I'm not so sure. I'm like Marquise Pouncey. It was Pouncey and Filer doing a zone block. And it looked like Pouncey, the way he came off, he actually overextended and stumbled and got his head down and didn't see a linebacker. And Filer came off when the linebacker didn't come his way, if you know what I'm saying. And and they come in and disrupt the play. I love looking at those kind of things. But you've got those kind of things that you're working together to block the first level, to get the guy in the right situation to block the next level. And I think Kevin Dotson was getting to the next level just about as good as anybody on the Steelers offensive line last year. So
yes,
I'm excited to see what he can do, but it's also going to depend on the guys he's playing next to. Yep. Because if that's not, right now you would assume he's going to be next to Chooks. So, but he did all right next to Chooks on the other side of the ball last year. So we'll have to see how it all comes out.
Yep.
Anything else you want to say about the line before I get to my last one?
No, go ahead and roll into yours.
Okay, here we go. This is it. I thought this was the big one. I'm surprised because you didn't have this. You might have just been like, oh, I didn't know about that. What I can frame this in a couple different ways. I can even say, how is it different? But I'll just say this. What does Matt Canada's offense really look like? We are not going to know that after the Hall of Fame game.
I thought about that.
Yeah.
But part of me said we may not even know that at the end of the last preseason game.
And I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And I hope we don't.
That's why I kept that off my list. I did consider that, but I thought, you know what? There's no guarantee we have an answer to that at the end of the preseason.
Yeah. I don't know that we will. And I hope we don't. I really do. I hope we don't. We might get to see little things here and there, but not really enough. Not really enough to really go into it. And that's why I'm going to say this. If you want to play a team like Buffalo in week 1, it might not be the worst matchup. Because, it's tough. Yeah, the Steelers are going to be underdogs. But you know what they're also probably not going to do? Buffalo's not going to have much tape of what to prepare for.
Yeah.
What that offense is really going to look like.
Yes.
Now, I will tell you this, though. This is one thing that does scare me about Buffalo, is that I feel they're a very well-coached team. I think their head coach is one of the best in the NFL. He's one of those William and Mary guys, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, him and Tomlin they go way back and everything.
Yep.
I think they can adapt at halftime and things like that. But the Steelers offense, just like last year, that's why the running game was so successful early in the year. They were doing some of the Matt Canada motions and they weren't tipping off. The teams didn't know exactly what was coming until they finally realized that Randy Land couldn't handle everything and was tipping off what he was doing every time. Kind of like trying to swap in James Washington into the jumbo package. You knew they were going to throw the ball when they did that. I mean, come on. So, yeah. So we'll see what that offense was like. What else do you want to say about the offensive scheme?
I don't really have much more to say on it. Like I said, I was just thinking about it and just thought, you know what, we may not know if we may not have a true answer to that question until 3-4 games into the season.
Yeah.
Or even longer.
And what's nice is I don't know that other teams will have the answer to that. That's the key. I don't want the other teams to have the answer. I'm okay not knowing the answer to what Matt Canada's offense is really going to look like, as long as the Steelers' opponent can't answer it either. That's a good way to put it, isn't it?
It is.
So now, real quick, anything, just now that we've broken it all down, the things that we're not going to learn from the Hall of Fame game, give me just off the top of your head 1 or 2 things that you're going to really be focused on. What are you hoping to see? I kind of put you on the spot real quick.
I know, but there's several things. One, I'm wanting to see our quarterbacks working more from under center than out of the shotgun.
Okay.
Partly to show a real commitment to running the football.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's not going to be the end of the world, whatever I see there, but it's something I'd like to see.
Yeah.
Some of these rookies and some of the new guys in, I kind of would like to see, some of the guys that you kind of peg for special teams. Some of those special teams guys are going to get their opportunities in this game, and I'd like to see what kind of impact some of these guys could have.
I'm telling you, watch special teams. If a team is getting ready to punt and think, oh, wait, I need to go get something from the fridge before the commercial. Let me get a jump start. No, because you want to. Some of these guys on the bottom of the roster, first of all, they got to show that they can provide depth for you in case of emergency. But they got to show that they can bring it on special teams. You know, I mean, I don't want to see the Steelers kicking it in for a touchback every time. I want to see what the coverage guys can do. I want to see, or if they do, having the other team run it out. I want to see the Steelers not taking a knee every time because I want to see, and it's not even just about the return guy. I want to see if the other guys can block it. You know, special teams. I'm serious. You should pay more attention to special teams in the preseason than you do any other time of the year. Times 10.
Because that's where you figure out those last couple guys that make the roster. That's where you figure that's where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Are going to be the plays they're making on special teams. So, you know, the one other thing I really like to see, I'd like to see us put the ball in the end zone at least, 2-3 times would be nice.
I'd like to see the Steelers not put the ball on the turf.
Yeah.
I'd like to see, but honestly, it's the first preseason game. You're going to see it. You really are.
You probably are.
Yeah. Yep. I'd like to see the defense get the ball on the turf or take it out of the air. I would. Let's just say this. I don't want to see the Steelers jump on a fumbled snap. I don't in the preseason. Yeah, the turnover is nice, and you want to take it anytime you can, especially in the regular season. I don't want to see them capitalizing on the other team totally flub it up. I want to see them making the play to make it happen. It's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I don't want to see it. I shouldn't have said it that way. It's nice, but what I really want to see is if they're making the play to make that happen, which would be really nice.
Yeah, I want to see this. I want to see the strip sack fumble recovery. I want to see, stripping the ball from a running back. I want to see.
I want to see a corner getting his hand on a pass, which knocks it up, and a safety picking it off.
Yeah,
I don't want to see. Kind of I don't want to see no receivers in the area and one guy standing there for the Steelers and the ball just getting thrown straight to him. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to get that during the regular season very often. So we don't need to see that all the time in the preseason.
Unless it's O'Donnell in a Super Bowl.
Sorry. I had to go there. Hey, don't let Bad hear that. He's the greatest Steelers quarterback of all time. Here's what I want to tell you what I want to hear. I want to hear Mike Tomlin step into his post-game interview and say, "We have no injuries of significance to report."
Yep. Gotcha.
That's the line I want to hear.
Yeah.
I don't want the big bad turf monster to get anybody because the last time Steelers were there, we don't want to talk about how bad that screwed up the season.
It did.
I mean, you do realize it was the next year that they canceled the game because the turf was unplayable.
Yep.
Yeah, the very next year. So, yeah, ugly. So, all right. Anything else you want to say before we head into this game? Do you have a big question? I can think of one real quick, unless you have one you really want to
do. Go ahead.
Okay,
I do not. So
okay. Well, I was going to let you say anything else you want to see for this game, so that way I can try to think of exactly how I want to frame it.
Do you want me to stall for a minute while you're trying to, get it all put together?
Yeah.
So
I came up with a completely random question. I mean, not random, completely different than anything we talked about. Okay.
Totally
different than what we talked about. I got a completely different question. Okay. I just have to type it in. That's why I want you to.
Okay. You know what? I'll go ahead and bring it up now. Set at the very end. Hey, anybody want to know? I've still got some games I could potentially be looking to unload at Heinz Field.
Yes. I had someone ask me about one of yours. They were wanting the Bengals game.
The Bengals game.
I've got to get back to them.
I've still got a couple.
Oh,
yeah. So
nope. I have to change what I was going to do. I got to change what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Because Kyle and other people have said we've got to do it. Okay, we've got to do our regular, regular thing.
We do.
Okay.
Still chick.
Does it really matter in the preseason?
No, not really.
Okay. So
do a different one. We don't have to.
No. We'll do this. And then I'll tell you what the other one would have been. And we can.
Steeler Chick wanted to know which games I had out there. Bengals, Broncos, Browns. Yep. At least I'm looking to unload at least 2 of those.
Yeah. So you're kind of like me that sometimes
2 of those. Let's
where you go. Okay. So Rich, you've got to give me a score prediction because I forget that's our big thing that we do. I forget that it's so hard to give a score prediction for a preseason game. We're going to do it because we can.
But we can. 17-14 Steelers.
17-14 Steelers. I'm going different. I'm going 33-23 Steelers. I'm going that I think the offense is going to show a little bit more, but you might be right. I only went high because you went low. Okay.
That's fine.
So boom, it is in the live chat. We're in both Facebook and YouTube where I said score. And who's in there first with it? Although some people did it before I typed it in there. So you've got to post them again because I don't look at them before that. We might have some new people that don't realize how it goes. But here we go. Marky D. He says Steelers 26, Cowboys 9. Okay. Cree says 15-12. Everyone's going low scoring. I just thought that maybe the offense would come out for both teams and just, be able to bust some big plays because they haven't had as much time to work on stuff. That's just me. Okay. Mark Tobin says 24-10. Steeler Nation 412 says 14-13 Steelers. Oh, and Mark was Steelers as well. Oh, and Crees was Cowboys. I missed that. I should have said who the winner was. And Vodka wants to know if people actually lay down bets on preseason. Shockingly, they do, but I don't. Those people
I would not.
I'm like
too unpredictable of who's going to play.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I wouldn't do it. Okay. Steeler Chick 46 says Steelers 20, Jerry's Girls 14. Almost said Jersey Girls. Almost read that wrong, but no, Jerry's Girls 14. Michael O'Malley says Steelers 17, Cry Girls 9. See, I even forget that the Steelers are playing Dallas because I don't care who they play in the preseason. It doesn't matter who you're matched up against. It's all about you and not really about that other team. Andrew, 3-2 Steelers. Okay. Brian Brown says 42-0 Steelers. Kyle, hashtag pay Kyle, 27-17 Steelers. Okay. Sean Manahan says 24-10 Steelers. Javier says 24-13 Steelers. Emmanuel says 17-7 Steelers. Man, I'm in the minority wanting to see a bunch of scoring, but I'm probably, we'll probably see 17 punts in the game is what's going to happen. BF Bud, who is going to the Browns game with my tickets. Okay. He says 31-13 Steelers. Because if you don't put a team name, we assume it's Steelers.
Yep.
Okay. Vodka wanted to know if there are preseason spreads. Some places have them. But I still think that's crazy. If you really go,
I don't know how in the world they come up with them.
I know. Whatever. And they could change like crazy. Okay. Todd Faraday says, I think I said that right. Says 23-20 Steelers. That's a good one. Okay. George says sloppy game. Steelers 21, Cowboys 16. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, sorry. I clicked on the wrong one because people talking to the blokes down under. Brian Blackstock says 28-13 Steelers. Okay. Brett Mai. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Sorry, Brett. 28-25 Steelers win. Okay. Andre Coleman, 27-17 Steelers. BMK Bully Mob Kennel, the artist formerly known as Solarverse, is I can't see what he's saying. Steelers 35-10. Sorry, I messed up there. Garrett says 21-52 Steelers. 50.
There you go. He went high scoring with you.
Wow. There we go. I thought I was crazy. Okay. Yeah. So I'm looking and here's awesome stuff.
Awesome stuff getting in last second.
He made it here. 19-10 Steelers. So those are some good ones. You know what? I was going to ask a question that might have been fun. I'll tell you what it would have been, and you and I'll answer it, and then people can debate it. You can throw them in the live chat, but we're not going to take the time to read through them all. My other question was going to be, who scores the first touchdown for the Steelers? That was going to be my question. So, just to see who you think would be able to get there.
Okay, I'll throw it out there. First preseason touchdown goes to second-round draft pick Pat Freiermuth.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to go with Anthony McFarland.
Oh, not a bad choice.
Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. I'd like to say
either.
Najee. I don't know how much he'll play, though. That's the thing.
Yep,
you know
exactly.
I mean, it's going to be somebody like that. So people were putting their answers in the live chat. Please do. Please do. We just don't have time to run through them all since we already did the scores. I'm glad people said
I'm bringing that one up, though.
I said Sapphire for the score from Awesome Stuff. Yes. Okay. See, that's something you don't want to bet on either because, my goodness, like, oh, I think it's going to be Juju Smith. Yeah, and then he doesn't play. You just don't know.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Rich, we're not going to be together on a show until we actually see members of the Steelers on the field. They redid the stadium, so it's not like it's going to be we get there and we can't play the game. The turf is too bad. I don't think that's going to happen.
I am going to say something real quick then. Since there's a game on Thursday night, I will be doing the first of the season knee-jerk reaction article.
Knee-jerk reaction.
It could get a little ugly because of trying to figure out who the heck is on the field.
Hey,
you know, kind of like back. Remember, I think I was in college. You know, they always did the Steelers the Steelers song every year, and B94 in Pittsburgh 93.7, which before they went to All Sports.
The Fan, yeah,
yep, before they were the Fan. Their morning show did one. It was hilarious because it was
John Day Bubba Shelley.
Yeah, they did. They were like, and he hands the ball off to some guy.
Some guy.
It's like,
hey, you might need this because I'll tell you this. I'll let everyone know. I don't know if it'll be Thursday. We'll probably run it Thursday rather than Wednesday. I will have an article at BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, your one-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers, that basically lists every player and their number. So that way you can basically, if you need to, have it up on your phone, on your computer, whatever you're doing when you're watching, or if you're like, oh, wow, they're running around. Who's number, 51? Well, I think there's two of them.
There's one on offense, one on defense.
And Trey Turner, So that's something you're going to have to ask yourself because there are some duplicate numbers. But I will put this out because I did it 2 years ago, so I'm assuming that I should do it again this year. That basically tells you who these players are. So if you see someone that you can see them and they're not talking about them on the TV, because you'll find in the preseason game, they'll start talking about stuff and not even say anything about what's happening in the game.
Yeah.
That if you see something, then you'll maybe want to reference it yourself. So,
which is why I'm considering watching the game on TV. But if they do run, if the
turn on the radio,
if the Steelers radio runs, I'll probably listen on my Sirius XM, and just because they'll mention the players more.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So we'll see how that all goes down. So make sure I ran down the lineup at the beginning of the show of why we were on Sunday night, about making sure we still got all the shows in. There'll be another show next Sunday. I can't say for sure. It might be us or it might be somebody else, but we wanted to still have between the Hangover, Scho Bro Show, Curtain Call / Know Your Enemy, and the Steelers preview. We still wanted to have all four of them in. So we started on Sunday this week. This week it was us. Next week it might be us. Could be the Hangover. We'll see. But if not, we're going to be here. So make sure you are liking this. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so you know when we come. Or a lot of people just, they get the notification on, I don't know if it's notification, but see it on Facebook. If you're listening to an audio form, you're like, hey, it doesn't matter what show it is. I'll just take whichever one comes up. And that's pretty good too. And make sure you're checking out BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, your one-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers. Rich, anything else you want to say here before we get going?
Oh yeah. I want to say Thursday night. Can't wait.